M&M Financial Services, let's get in an update on the liquidity, the collections that they've gathered so far. What happens then to the Franklin fiasco and whether or not it's going to further tighten funding pressure. Lots of talking points. So let's welcome on board Ramesh Iyer, VC and MD at Mahindra Finance, joining us on the show right now. Ramesh, hi, morning. Good to have you on the show. NBFCs, Ramesh, have partially resumed operations as we understand. Has the collection efficiency also improved, or is that still taking a bit of a backseat?
So I think, April, it was not expected to be good for collection because the moratorium was just announced. And I'm sure most of the NBFCs would have made some collection. If you talk of us in particular, I think we had about 15-20% collection efficiency, but largely coming from the farming community. So I think it was anyway not expected that April will be great from a collection perspective. I think April, May both would definitely be slow. Having given moratorium, why will somebody want to come and pay?
Sure. But tell me, how many of your customers, as a percentage, if you have a vague picture as well, have opted for the moratorium?
I think upward of 75% of the customers have opted. In fact, initially it was only about 60-65%. Then subsequently, I'm sure they would have reviewed their own situation and would have felt, why not take moratorium? And we now see about 75% of the consumers are asking for moratorium. My belief is that the 25% was not asking for. Also, there would be about 4-5% or maybe a little more of them who are fearing the interest that's going to be charged for the moratorium period. And therefore, they would have said no, not that they have money to pay, but fearing the interest, they would have said no, but they would come back and possibly negotiate on the interest and take the moratorium. So safely about 75% one can assume has opted for moratorium at the retail levels.
That's quite a large percentage, I must say. But tell me, there's still been no word on the moratorium on payments as well as obligations by NBFCs, while they are offering moratorium to their customers, such as you as well. Can this result in ALM mismatch?
I think, again, it will depend on NBFC to NBFC. If we talk of ourselves particularly, I think we always had a good match of ALM. So banks not giving moratorium should not lead to ALM mismatch, because I also expect the disbursements would not be there, right? So therefore, if the collections are not there to that extent, the disbursements are not there, that should kind of offset each other to an extent. But again, it depends on each NBFC independently, but the large ones should not have a mismatch is my feeling. But I think to clarify, I think some of the banks are giving moratorium on the term loan. Yes, generally, they are not announced that everybody would give, but if you look at the private banks, most of them are giving moratorium on the term loans to NBFCs as well.
Concerns that the Franklin Templeton issue as well is going to further tighten the liquidity in the system. Do you as well fear the same, or do you think this is just an isolated case and will not have too much of a bearing?
I think, clarifications have been given. Even Templeton has put out some note. So this is one-off case, but definitely, yes, whenever something like this happens, there does build a pressure in the system. But in any case, mutual funds were not actively providing funds to NBFCs in the recent past, given their own redemption and their own inflow being a little low. Really, what we are looking for from a liquidity is from the banking system. And with so much of actions already taken by RBI to provide liquidity in the system, I personally believe if the banks do open up to NBFCs and starts to provide them funds, liquidity by itself then should not be a problem.
Right, Mr. Iyer, I just wanted to get in your take as to what the outlook is when it comes to the rural economy, because that has been adversely impacted as well in terms of the farmers, the food products, etc. Can you give us a sense as to what the situation is like in terms of the trends that you're picking up, and how badly have the rural cash flows been impacted? Are you factoring in now a case of higher NPAs going forward?
I think we must first get it right. It's not the farmers are usually impacted, because it's not across the country that everyone is impacted. We have kind of analyzed and we have found about 65-70% of the districts do remain free from this problem. But yes, the fact is because of lockdown, the activities are low. But what's important and interesting is the harvest has been good. The wheat output is good, sugarcane is good, potato, onion is good, pulses are good. So, and the government will buy and they will warehouse this product. So surely the farm cash flow should improve. And as I said at the beginning, the collections that we have seen in April are coming from the farming community. So I don't think we subscribe to the view that the farmers are impacted. Even if you look at tractor demand, we do see there is a demand for tractors. The dealerships in some of the locations have opened up. And I would think that farmers are not as impacted. Definitely, yes, because of the lockdown, there has been a slowdown and the activities have definitely come down. That's one. Two, given that if you lose 2 months of activity, you would find pressure in the collections. And the consumers, even if they have the money, would like to hold it back and wait and see what next happens. So to that extent, the overdues will go up. And with 3 months moratorium provided by the Reserve Bank, I think if things were to regularize, let's say from not immediate June, but even if we were to take sometime August, I would think before the festival season, things should settle down well and we shouldn't see increase in NPA. But yes, if this was to overextend and not stop at May and then it was to continue to go longer, then one will need to relook at the situation, what happens. But as we speak today, we believe that post-August things would start to look better. And definitely rural is not as badly impacted as urban is.
All right, post-August perhaps is when things will start to look better. Appreciate you taking the time out, Mr. Iyer, and joining in with a sense of how the situation is shaping up for the company.